If you're a driven, high-performing woman, female founder, entrepreneur, and you're doing all of the right things to try to heal and create really good health, like the labs, the supplements, the clean eating, and you're still exhausted or dealing with chronic symptoms, and all you want is for someone just to tell you what to do, this is why. There are two mistakes that I see high achieving, high performing women make, even when they are meticulous and dedicated, educated, and doing everything that they are supposed to do. Mistake number one that I see the most is what I call fragmented healing, where everything in the body is being addressed as if it's all functioning in isolation. And mistake number two that I see the most is trying to do your way into safety instead of creating it and creating the capacity in your nervous system to hold it. Let's break each of these down because this is something that no one ever explains. Most women who find me aren't beginners. You've already fixed things before. Maybe it's burnout, depression, anxiety. Maybe your digestion improved or sleep got better for a while, or maybe bloating decreased. But in the end, they just came back and nothing really stuck. The most common reason I see this is because one, it wasn't because you did anything wrong, but it was because everything is often addressed in isolation as a separate issue, but also because the deeper root of where those symptoms diagnoses come from wasn't actually addressed. A really good example of this, and I even see this oftentimes inside of the functional medicine world, is let's say you had a GI lab ran and they gave you all of these things to do for your gut, but they didn't talk about how your liver plays into this, how your nutrients, and maybe they gave you some nutrition stuff to do, but they didn't explain to you how other things could be impacting what's going on in the gut, including things like anxiety, depression, and other factors that have to do with other areas of the body. Maybe you had another doctor who was focusing in on your thyroid, or maybe another one was focusing in on your hormones. And you probably got told along the way somewhere that it's just stress. But the thing is that all of those practitioners didn't really ask the most important questions, like, why is this happening now? Why are all of these things happening and these specific things happening right now? And why to you? How are all of these communicating and connected with each other? And why did the communication break in the first place? Because here's the honest truth. Your gut doesn't heal in a vacuum. Your thyroid hormones don't convert from T4 to T3 in a vacuum. Your hormones don't regulate or balance themselves in a vacuum. Your body works as a connected ecosystem. And one of the most critical things to think about here is that when the communication breaks down, energy production breaks down, and each system needs enough energy in order for them to do their jobs well. Here's a quick example. We know from research that the mitochondria and the gut axis directly influences your energy output. So when short chain fatty acids drop, meaning your gut bacteria aren't producing enough short chain fatty acids from the fiber in the food that you eat, then we also see in tandem your adenosine triphosphate, ATP, which is your energy, also start to drop. You feel this as fatigue, even if your diet is immaculate. Something we also know is that thyroid conversion issues often show up alongside of gut dysbiosis, so imbalances in the bacteria in your GI tract, and low-grade inflammation. So in this example, let's say you only look at the thyroid and you take a thyroid replacement hormone or thyroid medication, and you never really look at the low-grade inflammation or the GI imbalances or dysbiosis or even the balancing out and helping out the mitochondria. You don't really resolve any of them. I had a client who was bouncing between all sorts of different things, anti-candida protocols, adrenal support, detoxes, and everything would help for a little while, and then it would all start to come back again. But one of the things that made the biggest difference for this client was that we did the right things for her in the right order. For example, we addressed her mineral imbalances that were preventing so many systems and processes and communication points from happening because of things like, for example, a calcium shell before we even went into the gut, correcting for bile flow, for addressing and helping to support her liver and detoxification and her mitochondria and all of those things. What she needed was the right sequence of things to do in the right order. It was not about doing more. It was about doing things correctly and again in the right sequential order. This is what we create together inside of Recalibrate, my 90-minute root cause intensive with me, and includes a hair tissue mineral analysis so that we can give you and get you the exact first steps that you need to do. So no more guessing, and you are being told exactly what to do. And it also allows us to identify what is actually blocking you or holding you back from being able to have the health that you want. Now, as we talk about this doing more, the second mistake that I see with high performers and high achievers the most is trying to effort or willpower or do your way into healing. This is the biggest one, and I talk about this all the time because it was me and because I see it with almost every high achieving client. What happens is if something starts to feel off, or maybe you felt off for a really long time, like fatigue, you start getting tired or start experiencing apathy because depression and anxiety symptoms have popped up again, or you've been burned out or feeling burned out, you tend to tighten your grip and tighten your control. So what this tends to show up or look like is you start looking for more supplements and starting to look to change your diet in some way. Start looking for it. Sometimes creates more restrictions. Sometimes it looks like going to all of these different practitioner and doctor's appointments, and you're spending all of your time doing so many things for your health. You have more rules, more biohacking. Maybe you have an entire drawer's worth of wearables or things like Oura rings and etc. To give you feedback on what's going on with your body. But the thing is that your body doesn't heal because you do more or push harder. Your body finally heals when it feels safe enough to shift out of survival or the burnout part of your parasympathetic nervous system. Even more than that, what oftentimes happens with chronic illnesses and symptoms that just don't seem to go away is that they are a communication point that your body is asking you, your being, yourself is asking you to pay attention to, and you need to determine what that is. So one of the things that happens when we start getting into the sympathetic nervous system, which is fight or flight, essentially, this is where your nervous system, your body perceives some kind of threat, like we mentioned, and then it says, okay, well, we need to do something about it, right? So in fight or flight, the main mission for the body is to send blood away from your digestive system, away from reproduction, because you're here to fight a lion or to run from a lion, right? Or to run from some kind of threat, or to face it. So what we want is for your blood to be in your tissues and in your muscles. It's natural and normal for your nervous system to shift into this when you're exercising or doing something physical. But what we need is for your body to then be able to shift out of fight or flight and into the parasympathetic nervous system, where we have more rest and digest. And this is also where our libido starts to kick in, because now we're, in the mood to reproduce. We're in a safe space, right? Detoxification can sometimes take a bit of a hit as well as hormone regulation because everything in this system of fight or flight is primarily focused in on survival. Also, this is where hormones start to get dysregulated because one of the main priorities of the hypothalamus in your hypothalamus, pituitary, and adrenal axis is to increase cortisol. And when we have that happen, and we have that happen for a long period of time, so we're talking about chronic stress here, things where women will basically say, I'm not stressed, I'm fine. But when we get your labs back, this is so common with high performing, like business founder women, that they're like, I'm fine. I'm running at a capacity that I'm used to. But when we get your labs back, it tells us a completely different story. And so when cortisol rises and when it stays there for a really long time and we start to see this dysregulation, what can end up happening is that your body and your adrenals will start stealing resources to keep producing cortisol. And that starts to take away from things like hormone production. So the point here is that you could be doing everything right. But the things that my clients want the most is they want to be told what to do. They want to know, what do I need to take? What herbs are going to help me balance all of these systems? But even deeper than that, they want someone that can see that pattern that's like, oh, you just went into doing mode. Let's look at where that programming is coming from and let's address it at the root so that you can get out of this survival fight or flight, this brain and nervous system that keeps saying there's a threat and we're not safe. To address all of the different areas where that's coming from so that this is something that stays in the past. So you can move forward and do everything that you need to do, continuing having impact, continuing building your dreams and everything that you're doing without the current health problems that you have right now. If you want results like these, make sure to hit the like button and also subscribe. So the really key piece here is that almost every protocol that I have seen with many different clients isn't necessarily about what you need to fix, but it is the right order and sequence that actually helps your body respond and about helping your nervous system have the capacity and feel safe to hold the health that you're working towards and that you want. We literally need to get to the root, the deeper root programming and patterns that have created this problem in the first place. This is why I built the 4M method, which is your mindset, your mitochondria, your metabolism, and your microbiome. So your gut, energy, how your body is using the resources that you're putting into it and efficiently, and also your mindset, so your subconscious mind. This is what works most consistently for the women who feel like they have really tried everything and want someone who can tell them exactly what to do. The key is, again, knowing the right order. It's about knowing what labs to run. It's about knowing what levers to pull. And it's about knowing then what lifestyle changes do we need to make in order for all of this to function properly and meet the ambition that you have. Things like making sure that your nervous system, so the mindset, subconscious mind, feels safe so that you can shift out of that fight or flight and into the parasympathetic mode, which, by the way, is where you're going to be the most creative. This is where you're going to find most problem solutions. For someone who is a high performer, you do want to spend a lot of time in this place because when your brain is in fight or flight, it's looking very narrowly at like, what's the one or two options that I have here? As soon as you open the brain up, this is neuroscience 101. When you open the brain up into the parasympathetic nervous system, all of a sudden, you start seeing all of these different options. Your creativity comes back online. So this isn't just about your health physiology. This is about how all of it is connected and how when you heal from the inside out, it doesn't just impact your health. It influences and impacts every other part of your life. Once you're out of that fight or flight nervous system, response, then your gut can start responding to the things that you're doing. Then we start to see nutrient absorption turning back on. Then we start to see inflammation coming down and detoxification and liver pathways starting to, function properly and optimally. And when all of those things are doing their job and your mitochondria are getting everything that they need, like minerals and polyphenols and all the cofactors and oxygen handling nutrients that they need, everything starts to stabilize and you start to see energy that becomes far more predictable, not just fragile. This is the order of things that really moves the needle. It's running the labs so that we know which order we need to prioritize, all of these things in, and then knowing which levers are going to make the most impact for you. What do we need to pull? What do we need to do in order to help your body do exactly what we need it to do, and what steps and phases that we need to do them in based on your specific results. I had a client who came to me. She was taking hormone replacement therapy. She had literally perfect standard, labs. And she was a high performing, really disciplined, doing everything right. But her mitochondria were still showing signs of oxidative stress and being in survival mode. Her labs showed us that we needed to address how her bile flow was working. We needed to address the mineral imbalances that were showing up in her tissues. We needed to support how her gut and her liver were functioning together, which we can do through various different ways, looking at things like beta glucuronidase and the microbiome, and looking at overall antioxidant status, that many of which are really needed for the liver to be able to do its job well. And when we addressed all of these separate issues and put them all together, her energy improved within months. We didn't do more. We didn't add a ton onto her plate. In fact, one of the things that she said was that she couldn't believe how much less she was doing and how quickly she was improving. And that is because we did it all with integration. So if you're doing everything right, or maybe you're spending so much time researching and looking up all of these various things that you could do, but you don't really know what the right thing to do is, and despite all of that, you're still not getting better. It's not that your body can't heal or that you're always going to be stuck with this problem. It's that you need someone who can put all of the pieces together and help you reconnect the systems that then create energy. And that's not just energy as far as fatigue goes, but that's making sure that every single cell within every single system within your body has the energy that it needs in order for it to function optimally. And that is where the next video brings it all together. In the next video, I'm giving you the exact step-by-step process that I use to help my clients rebuild their energy from the cells up. And we're going to do a deep dive into how we do that using the 4M method.